Welcome into another episode of On Isles Time. It's been a couple of weeks, but the Islanders have been playing great hockey, and we're here to talk about it. So thank you for tuning in. Brendan Yerks, Cole Healy here, and it's been a great couple of weeks. 6-1-0 in their last seven, 6-3-1 in their last 10. So the Islanders, seem to go on a little bit of a dip after that road trip, but we're able to get things right again and now have some success. And they're towards the top of the Eastern Conference, so things you love to see.
Yeah, and there was a brief time on Saturday night where they were first in the East before the Canes and Flyers game. Before the Canes and Flyers game, they've looked. It seems like this is really what they are. Like we were talking about earlier how it kind of felt like at some point they were just gonna kind of fall back down to earth and regress a little bit, but they've really they just keep playing the way they've been playing. Like everyone's bought into Patrick Waugh's system. Whatever he's doing is working. Ilya Sorokin's been playing great. Riddick's been good when he needs to come in, and it's really just been a fun team to watch and a nice. Again, I feel like we say this every episode, and I mentioned that we say it every episode, every single episode. It's a nice change. Like it's just a fun time to be a fan.
Well, the vibes are high, and I'm glad after we talked about it all summer about how there's all positivity and the team looks fun that, we thought the team was going to have a good year, and a lot of people around the league circles did not think that. And I feel like there was even some negativity amongst the fan base just based on it being stale for the last few years that nobody expected this team to really do anything and to really be in this race. And we said adamantly, this is going to be a team that maybe they won't make the playoffs, but they will at least be in the hunt until the end. And there's a possibility that they sneak in. And the way they're playing, they're definitely not a team anybody is going to want to play in the playoffs. Again, still a lot of ways to go, and they have played more games than these other teams that are towards the top of the division and the conference. But it'll all even out eventually. I mean, the schedule this year is whack is the word I've been using just because there's a lot of compressed games with the Olympics happening and just the way the schedule is. It's very weird. There's another 7 game road trip coming up in January, so there's 2 of those this year. A lot of oddly timed games, so things are going to get weird coming up as we lead to the Olympics with some of the guys on the Islanders pushing for an Olympic spot, but it's just good to see that, that after the 0-3 start and they had that success that we're like, all right, this is what we expected that again, like you said, it's been a big enough sample size, and we're almost getting to the point where it's the halfway point of the season, about 2 or 3 weeks here, and that's the halfway point already somehow. And they're in it. This is what they are. They're a good team. They've had to battle through some injuries, and now the biggest test obviously is right now with Bo Horvat being down for who knows how long. It's looking like not as bad as we initially thought. We'll break that down, but things are looking good right now, and just the vibes are high, and they're playing really fun, really strong hockey in all ends of the ice.
Definitely, yeah. Horvat obviously is huge. He's having a great year. Um, Definitely sounds like he avoided the worst of that injury. I
Oh, for
personally
sure. It
thought,
looked bad. It really
yeah,
did
I
look bad.
flashed
Like
back to the Duclair injury from
Duclair.
last
Yep.
year. And obviously Duclair said he tore the groin fully off the bone, and I mean he did end up coming back, but obviously wasn't fully healthy, and it was just a mess last year. So yeah, you see that happen to Horvat, and you just get PTSD immediately. But obviously I think Waugh's been calling it day to day. I know Stefan Rosner said 1 to 3 weeks is what he was hearing. So yeah, hopefully by the new year, Bo Horvat is back and continue to play and making a push to make Team Canada.
Yeah, I don't think they should put him in unless he's fully ready. You don't want another Duclair situation. I think the team has enough depth and they'll be okay without him for a little bit. But I think just overall, they're playing well, and even when they have their down moments, like they've had some games that they've won, especially a couple against Tampa over the past few weeks. Obviously, sweeping them is awesome. That's a good team, even though they're obviously dealing with some injuries too. But they didn't have it in a lot of moments in all of those games, and some of these games that they've won, but they found a way to bend and not break. Sorokin obviously is the key. He's been back to form. As we said the last episode, we had a feeling it was coming. He was starting to find it a little bit. Now he's kind of proven us right in these last 3 weeks that he is what we expected him to be, and now he's in that Vesna conversation, which is you absolutely love to see. But they're bending and not breaking. They're not giving up. 3 goals in a short span and making these mistakes like we've seen in the past. Like, you'll have a bad couple of shifts and then they're going to get buried, and then that's the game, and they kind of give up. They're fighting and they're pushing through the adversity. And especially, I think the biggest one, which we didn't mention, is the Kyle Palmieri injury, which is just absolutely brutal. He has that great assist as he's skating off the ice, and that one looked really bad, similar to the Horvat one. But that one we did get the worst, that he tore his ACL and he's going to be out for the season and probably into some point next season. And we said with the ACL with Anders Lee a few episodes ago, it takes another year after that to regain form. And he's already older on a 2-year contract, so who knows what the future has. That could potentially be the last game Kyle Palmieri plays for the Islanders at that level, which I don't want to obviously say that, but he's been maybe not his best this year, but he still was scoring at a higher rate, even if his play all around wasn't great. But still, a top 6 guy, a veteran guy, it's a big loss, but the team's been able to push through without him. If they'll be able to do that all the way, that's going to be, something to look out for. But so far, they've been able to rally in his absence, but definitely a tough loss to see Palms go down like that. And just, you got to feel bad for the guy, too.
Definitely, yeah. And obviously, it's just that next man up mentality is such a big part of this team. Palmieri goes down against Philly on Black Friday. I thought Max Shabanov played one of his best games that day. He's stepped up since that injury, and he's looked solid. It's good to. Obviously, it's awful seeing Palmieri go down like that. He's such a great in the room, great player. You never want to see that. Then, you look on the other side, it's just another chance for someone to step up, and Max Shabanov has done that, and everyone else really has been stepping up when necessary, which is huge.
Yeah, we wanted to see him in that top 6 role, and he got it. And, he's been really good in the rush and transition. I think him on the power play, getting that expanded role, has been really good as well. And I feel like in a lot of the lines he's played on, he's been a play driver. I've really liked him. I think he was with Horvat and Heineman on Tuesday against Vegas. I really like that line a lot. A good mix of kind of everything on a forward line. And I think just the readjustment has been able to sort things out again. Getting Pajot back, even though he missed a couple games, they were able to push through without him, but you could tell they were missing him. He wins so many faceoffs, kills penalties. He's just probably the most underrated player on the Islanders as like a glue guy on that third line. He's always reliable, and I'm glad, people are starting to wake up and realize that, which, again, they have a tough decision with him later in the year, but we'll enjoy him while we have him. But yeah, him coming back was a big plus, and then you could put him with Anders Lee and Holmstrom, which was a great line last year, one of the better lines. And Holmstrom, who had struggled at times, he was still, killing penalties and playing well defensively, but you weren't really seeing that production. He looked a little timid and, kind of scared to use his shot and not create those plays. But now he scored 2 goals in this past week. And the one against Anaheim was really just a confidence play because he has the strength, he has the shot and that scoring ability and the hands too. As we've seen it in the shootout, he cut right to the net and tucked it around the goaltender, and he scored. And obviously, the one against Vegas cuts in, a lot of space, perfectly placed shot, a lot of zip on it. So those are the things you want to see. But the Anaheim one was huge to me because you could tell he was feeling himself going around the defender that way and, set himself up. And it's like, all right, he's back. Let's kind of get this rolling a little bit. I believe he had a multi-point night as well. So that's, a huge player to come back. And just him and Pajot, I think Pajot coming back really brought that security for him and eased his confidence a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Holmstrom is at his best when he's with Pajot. Like, obviously they're on they're on that penalty kill unit where I think it was 2 seasons ago. I think Simon Holmstrom led the league in shorthanded goals for a little bit. They would just work so well together, and getting Pajot back was huge for Holmstrom. Now, you mentioned it there about Holmstrom in the shootout. That's 3 shootout wins this year for the Islanders? Like, where has this been?
Well, they're all within the last couple of weeks. I think that was the last one we covered on the last episode.
Yeah,
the 1-0 shootout win, which is crazy. But yeah, the crazy thing was, I was at all 3 of those games, which is the funny thing. Heineman did the exact same thing on both of them. And I know Heineman, people want to say, oh, he hasn't scored in like 14 games, but he's doing all the right things. I feel like he's been snake bitten a little bit. I feel like he's hit some posts, like he had some crazy shots, and he's had some good looks, and I think he's still been getting on the score sheet. But yeah, he's not like scoring goals in a little bit, but the shootout goals are just as important. That's directly getting the extra point for your team. And he's still, top 5 in the league in hits. We might be, is he at the top? I'm not exactly sure. I know he's up there. I don't remember if he was in first or not.
Top 3 at one point. I'm not sure.
He might be top 3. I know he's a top 5 for sure, but doing the other things, like he's kind of a do-it-all player because he's a big guy and he could really skate well too. And those shootout the shootout is crazy. I mean, it just they've been so snake bit there, and Sorokin, has been like a new man since he went to WA about it, and obviously with the new mental health specialist the Islanders have brought in has done wonders as well, and he's just locked in. I mean, Vegas they helped that they lost the puck on like I think two of them, but still he was stood his ground in the net, didn't give up too much for the easy shot in, and gave his team a chance to win. And then that one took 4 rounds; they were able to do it. And then against Tampa Bay, that's a good shootout team. Look at that lineup. They had Point, they had Kucherov, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. Barzell scores, which feels like it's been a lifetime since he scored
Yeah,
in the shootout.
same move every
Obviously,
time.
Point got one, and then Kucherov, you thought was going to do something. Sorokin stands tall. Then Heineman comes in and he has that wicked shot and he's able to get it done. So the shootout went. That's just like getting those extra points and they're only having 3 loser points this year because they're getting it done in not just overtime but the shootout as well. And that separates a team from being the middle of the pack or being in the playoffs. And we'll see that difference come the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we've probably had what? There's probably 3 shootout wins in the last, like the prior 2 seasons combined. Like, maybe 4. Like, it's just there's been so many points lost, and that's that kind of became the Islanders' thing, was getting that loser point, losing in overtime or the shootout, and now we're starting to see what happens when they win those games, and like it's really it's here and there you have an overtime loss, yeah, sure, whatever, but once you start to win those, you see how much of an impact it can make. And then, yeah, I mean, they were, like I said, they were first in the conference for a couple hours. And yeah, like it's just crucial. Like, in the moment, it might not feel as big. Once you're in the shootout, it's like, okay, yeah, we picked up a point, whatever. But I don't know. I think it's just something about having a number 51 on the
I
team
was going to say the
that
same thing. I knew you were going to say it.
that leads to shootout success. Obviously, Franz Nielsen. I feel like Valtteri Filppula was solid in the shoot. I don't know how many opportunities he got.
I think the same. You
I feel
definitely
like
have a
he got.
Franz jersey somewhere over there. You don't have to go get it, but I'm sure you have one, right?
No, I don't. I need one.
That's the one you don't have. I know
At some
Cole's
point.
the jersey guy. He's got
At some
everybody.
point, I will own a Franz Nielsen jersey.
It's on the list, I guess.
Oh
I know
yeah,
you were rocking the
it's a
Molson one
long
a couple
list.
weeks ago,
Oh yeah,
which I know big gap for us between episodes. So
yeah.
that's our bad. We busy time, holidays. I was actually down in Florida for that weekend for the Islanders, the big win in Tampa with Sorokin standing tall there. That was a lot of fun. So many great fans down there. A lot of Islander fans making the trip down. A lot that live down there, obviously in the Tampa area and just South Florida as well. So both games with a ton. Sunday was a little disappointing, but with the being on the road and Florida kind of finding their footing again. It's you can't win every game, so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, we're trying to haven't been as active on TikTok and social media as we'd like to be, but we're gonna definitely try as things keep going on. We'll try to get more post game reactions because I know that you guys like those, and I think that it'd be good to be able to get those takes out there. We're gonna try. It's it's
Yeah.
tough, but we'll focus on TikTok as our social media outlet. But yeah, the Islanders, playing well, and I think it goes back to what you started this episode with, and it's just that they're bought in. There's the vibes are high, and it's not even that the vibes are high for the fans because that matters too. When you get the extra point, when you win in the shootout, and everyone's walking out to their car or to the train, there's a good vibe. Everybody's happy. The team's playing well. People want to come back to more games. But then when it's 20 degrees and you're walking to your car, and they lose the shootout, you're not happy about it, and it's just like the mood is down for the fans. But think about how it is in the room when you win these games. They're buying in, they're playing confident, they're having fun playing hockey, and after the last few years being stale, like we keep bringing up, it's good to be in it, and Schaefer's really rejuvenated the whole team.
Yeah, and just like going back to what Patrick Wallace says all the time, he wants them to play with joy, and you're seeing that every night. And also, just real quick before I forget, pulled it up. Heineman is 4th in hits in the league with 115, behind Colton Dach, Kiefer Sherwood, and Jakob Trenin. But yeah, just going back to Watt, like I don't really know how to, like, it just his mindset. I feel like is so much different than a lot of coaches, just because he was a player. I mean, not to say that a lot of coaches weren't, 'cause a lot of coaches did play, but
Like
it's
a
not
legendary
often that you
player, you
have
mean?
one of the best to ever do it. Like, he's top 3 goalie of all time. I think second best goalie of all time behind Dominik Hasek. And like, he's just his words just mean so much coming from a guy of that caliber. To those guys in the room, and like, when you have a guy like that just telling you, hey, just go out there, enjoy yourself, play with joy. Like that takes so much pressure off. Um, like we're seeing it with Cal Ritchie now, right? Like Cal Ritchie has been great. He's out here, he's making all these plays. He's not worried about getting benched if he makes a bad play or two. Like Watt is going to give him these opportunities because he wants these guys, play within the system. He wants them to play freely within that system. And yeah, like they look like they're having fun, they're enjoying themselves, and they're winning. So at that point, you gotta keep
Right.
with it, and it's just allowed for so much more. I guess so much more confidence among all the players.
Yeah, I want to keep this on Wall a little bit more because it's a really interesting discussion because he really does feel like a new age, like younger coach for being like kind of an older guy. Obviously not old because compared to some other coaches, but like, he's not young like those some coaches are, 40s type thing. But yeah, he has that mindset of just, the young guys are going to go out there and they're going to make mistakes. And Richie, was playing well for his first couple games, but, people were getting a little antsy. He didn't get on the score sheet at all. No goals, no assists. Then started to slowly come. He's got 4 goals now. Like, you want to see more keep coming, but you see that confidence every shift. He's playing so well defensively, great all over the ice. You're seeing him on the power play. He ends up scoring on Saturday. He scored that sick goal against Tampa the Saturday before through the legs. That ends up being the game winner. So that's like a huge goal to score. But you're seeing that confidence ooze out of him because, like you said, the coach has confidence in him. And remember what Matthew Darch said at his press conference? I want to play this team to play with pace, and I want them to play good defensively while they're still playing with pace, or some variation of that, he said. And you're seeing it, and Wa's the guy to execute it. And I think a lot of people were, some people were out on Wa. I was 50-50 because it's like, it's Patrick Waugh. He's a legend of the game. It's still awesome to see like him wearing the Islander logo and representing our team. I think that doesn't get talked about enough. Like to see somebody of that caliber, since we haven't had those legends, since like the 80s dynasty. Obviously the LaFontaine thing Saturday was cool to have him back, and he, deserves that honor that he got. But just having Patrick Waugh as the coach, like I said, people were kind of 50-50 on him, but even in the early stage of this year, I was thinking, he moves the lines around too much for my liking. But now the last couple weeks, just seeing the buy-in, you see how excited he gets on the bench when they score, when they win. He's fired up. And the thing I can't get enough of after the games, watching the post game, his press conferences, to me, are must-see TV. I can't get enough of listening to him talk about the game of hockey. Just when you hear him break down plays and talk about his players, he's just so invested and he's just so knowledgeable about the game that I just cannot get enough of it, especially after a win, just hearing what he has to say.
Definitely, yeah, and just I think a lot of that is just from coming from juniors. Like he was obviously he was coached in juniors, I believe, before Colorado. Wins the Jack Adams his first year in Colorado. He was there for 2 more seasons, and then goes back to juniors. And then just seeing him after after Lane Lambert was fired and the Islanders brought him in, just like it's such a different mentality. Kind of going back to what you were saying, he's really like a new age coach. Um, and yeah, I believe a lot of that is just coming from coaching all these junior players. All like these guys are 16 years old, 17 years old, 18 years old. Like yeah, they're obviously going to make mistakes. And he's coming in, and obviously the last 2 years hasn't really had a ton of young talent. This year, obviously, he's got Matthew Schaefer, he's got Cal Ritchie, he's even Max Shabanov. He's 24, 25, but playing his first year in the NHL. And he's just giving them that leash. He's giving them the ability to go out there, make mistakes so they can learn. And it's really just paying off. And yeah, like I'm with you. Like it's so cool to see a guy like Patrick Waugh representing the Islanders. Like when they first announced that he was the guy, I saw the Twitter notification that Lane Lambert had been relieved of his duties, and I was already excited over that. Then you read that next sentence, Patrick Waugh has been hired, and you're like, oh my
And it
god,
was all in one, yeah, all in one like blurb. It was
yeah,
crazy.
just out of nowhere, and you're like, oh my god, wait,
Yeah, 'cause
this
I
is
forgot he
Patrick
was
Waugh.
available. I was like looking at him in the offseason, like, oh, I hope the Rangers don't hire him because I thought
Yeah,
he had the
I
potential to
remember
be
that.
like the next, big
Mm-hmm.
coach. They interviewed him.
Yep, and
I think
then
Columbus he was close to, but nobody bit.
yep, and then Lou makes the decision to bring him in, and obviously going into this year, and yeah, like you said, even early on, I was like, he's not the problem, but he also wasn't the solution. So like I'd be fine keeping him this year, and like maybe next year while they're kind of figuring things out. But now, just seeing the way that he's kind, he's finally found his lines. It seems like everyone's fully bought in now. Everyone's on the same page, Obviously last year he had a full season, but he still had that influence from Lou. So it was, you
He's just
know,
like, again, everybody's bought in. Like, but look at who he's bringing up. Like a guy like Travis Mitchell comes up and he just fits like a glove to the team. It's just that's a testament to the coach, you know. And it's just he's definitely bought himself another year. Whatever happens this year, if they don't make the playoffs, barring things being a total disaster, is he the coach that eventually gets them over the hump to win a Stanley Cup? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that because there's some teams where like there's the coach that is there now, and then there's the coach that's going to win them the cup. Like I feel like Montreal is the biggest example of that right now. Like you see Marty St. Louis, and you're like, is he the guy to get him there? He's the guy that developed all the players and that can get them ready for that. But then sometimes it's like right when you make the change, it's for a rebuilding like retooling team. But that's again a discussion for another time. He could be the guy, but that's far away from now. But the biggest thing I think to wrap the Waugh discussion is he's learned from his mistakes, and I think that's the most important thing with the line shuffling and how he handles things. Obviously, he was, I guess, a hothead you could say in Colorado. He was very aggressive, his screaming and stuff like that, and we didn't really get to see it here because the Lou thing, and he had to be a little more buttoned up. I still think that's inside him, but he knows when to bring it out. We saw it with the Rantanen
mhm.
Romanov thing. So there's a time and a place, and he can get aggressive at times when he needs to defend his team. But he also, isn't going to be reckless in those situations. But I think all things like that, like last year, the Duclair, thing where he called him out, but then he went and drove to Montreal to apologize to him and make up with him. He's learning from his mistakes too. Being even again, like I said, an older guy, you could still make mistakes, but he's not making the same mistakes like we saw with the previous coach, Lambert, where the same things were going on over and over again. He's making adjustments, and you're seeing things change for the better in all regards, goaltending and the skaters as well. Just bench management, the lines, everything, and those adjustments loom large, and you're seeing the team succeed because of it.
Yeah, and just I want to go back to talking about Travis Mitchell because he's been really, really solid. I believe it was 20. It was like April of 23. They signed him and they signed Aiden Fulp on the same day, two college free agents. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people didn't really have Mitchell on the radar. Obviously, it was Marshall Warren and Isaiah George are the two. George has been hurt. I think he just started skating again today. And obviously, we saw what Warren got to do, late October, early November. And again, Travis Mitchell, like he was called up at one point last year. He didn't play. He was called up again this year for when Mayfield's wife had a baby. So Mayfield stayed back at home, so Mitchell was out west with them, didn't play. And then it was that Philly game, I believe, was his first game, the game where Palmieri got hurt. And with him, like you don't really notice him that much out there. Part of that is because he's getting sheltered minutes. He's not getting a ton of ice time.
That's a good thing, though.
But it's also, yeah, with a player like him, defensive defenseman, stay at home guy. If you're not noticing him, that means he's doing his job. He's not going to be flashy. Like, obviously with Pelech plays that defensive style, but Pelech's got a little bit of, he's got some underrated hands. Pelech always, he makes some nice moves here and there. He pulls out some flashiness every once in a while. So you notice Pelech. So with Mitchell, it's like they're both similar. I guess they play similar roles. They both got to be that defensive guy, but the style in which they do it is different. And with Mitchell, like if you're not noticing him, then he's doing a good job. This is a very weird comparison here, but it's kind of like Paul Martin back, like he's on the Penguins. He was with the
Yeah,
Sharks for a bit. Like he was, I don't know. I just remember watching him one game. Like I don't know, I was watching someone on NHL Network. They're doing a segment on him, right? And he's like, that was like the main point. It's like if you don't notice Paul Martin, that means he's having a good game. And with Mitchell, obviously he got his first goal the other night. Mayfield took the shot wide. Mitchell came off the bench, came down and buried it. So that's good to see. I'm sure he's got his confidence up. But yeah, he's been really steady back there, and that's crucial when you have a guy like Romanov. Obviously, Romanov was struggling; he wasn't having a great year.
right.
I was out for the regular season. We'll see if he's able to come back for the playoffs. But having Mitchell be able to step in and kind of just play solid defense in the minutes that he gets, it's huge for this team.
Way to go, Paul. And
Great video.
yeah, yeah, all the hockey fans know that one. But Yeah, he's just eating minutes, and he's obviously earned the trust over Boquist. I think Boquist has struggled in the games that he's gotten in. So, if there's a back to back, they'll switch him out, and it's fine. But Mitchell's getting those games, and I think you're less worried about developing a guy like him, where you want to maybe see Marshall Warren play in the AHL a little bit more. You want to see Isaiah George be a top pairing power play guy in the AHL instead of being the sixth, seventh defenseman in the NHL. So those things matter too. I didn't know much about Travis Mitchell, but yeah, he's proven to be pretty solid back there, and along with the rest of the defensemen, I think that's where we'll shift this discussion now. But you said he doesn't rush the puck up much, but give him a few more games playing on the same team with Schaefer, and he'll do it because you've seen
Yeah.
every single forward, every single defenseman that has played for the Islanders this year, and guys that we've never seen do it are skating from their own end behind the net all the way to the other net and trying to take a
Yeah, there,
shot or make a move, and that's the
there's a,
Schaefer effect.
there's
You've
that
seen
one
Mayfield do
game.
it, Pollock, Pellick, all of them.
Yeah, there's that one game. I forgot who was against, but like Mayfield almost like Mayfield tried to go coast to coast and score. Like he took the shot. I don't remember if it was blocked or went wide. I don't remember what happened, but yeah, like you're seeing it so much with Ryan Pollock now. Now that he's paired with Schaefer,
Oh, it's so great to
and it's
see.
just yeah,
He
like
deserved that goal. He finally
yeah,
scored.
yeah. Ryan Pollock's having a great year, and that's good. I know he struggled early on, especially those first three games, those first three losses. Ryan Pollock really struggled. Didn't have a great year last year. I know there's some discussion among the fans about trading him. Um, But it's so good to see him get going again. I think he's on pace to set a career high in assists. I mean, people forget he was our number one guy during the 2019 and then 2020. I mean 20 was more Pellick, and then obviously he got hurt right when the new year came, playing soccer in New Jersey. But yeah, like Ryan Pollock was the guy. He was the number one guy while Dobson was still developing, and then Taves was doing his thing, but he was on the second pair, or third pair, I guess, with Mayfield. And yeah, like it's just good to see him kind of find his game again. Obviously, I
Yeah,
don't think the goals are ever going to be. I think he scored 10 goals back to back years, or he scored. I know he had 10 goals his rookie year. He had 10 at least one other time. So I don't think he's ever going to get back to those totals. But just seeing him again with the assists, obviously, but just his play overall, like he's skating well. It's just good to see him find his game again.
he's got a goal and 15 assists, and he's a +8 in 33 games. So yeah, I mean, I said it early on in the year when he was struggling that he did. To me, he looked more agile. He looked quicker on his feet, and I think that has helped him now. He's been skating really well, and yeah, like you said, it's good to see him return to form. Out of Pellick and Pollock, they've both been great. Pellick has been a machine defensively, back to his old ways, contributing on offense a little bit. He scored his first goal against Colorado, but he's still. When you're looking to the future, you're gonna think one of them's probably gonna get traded. I think it makes more sense to trade Pellick just because of the logjam on the left side once Schaefer kind of develops into that, top guy, even though he obviously already is. But I feel like they don't have like a first pair, second pair, third pair. It's just kind of have like they have three pairs at this point. Like obviously some will get more minutes than others, but they've already all kind of played together so far that Schaefer could be playing with Pollock, and then like you'll see him do a shift in the third with Mayfield, and they'll rotate it around. So it's not really all like set, cut and dry, So they're moving it around. But yeah, Pellick might be the one to go, and I feel like he had more value, but now they're both tradable. But right now they're here for a few more years, so that's another discussion for another time. But when you're trying to move things for the future, say when a guy like Kashawn Aitchison is ready, who's having a great year by the way, still with the Barry Colts, scoring a lot of goals. I think he had like 32 points in 27 games I saw or something like that. When a guy like him is ready to slide in, then you could move somebody out. But yeah, he's been really good defensively. Same with Pollock. Good to see them on both ends of the ice contributing and regain that form. Because I know after they got those big contracts, there was a lot of concerns that kind of slipped a little bit. But because they're trying to play that Trot style where you kind of just sit back, and it's like I feel like they needed to be more active, and now they're being more active while still sitting back, obviously, and being cautious. But it's paying dividends. And same for Scott Mayfield. I feel like I haven't heard as much slander on Mayfield lately, and I think maybe because the team is winning, but he's also producing. He's playing well offensively. He's a shutdown guy on defense, and we just again he is what he is. That's why it's frustrating to see all the the backlash because you know what you're getting from him, and he's been performing well, and with the pairs that they've had, it's all been rotated, but he's been playing great as well. And we could go back and wrap this with Schaefer because we said he's been scoring, power play goal the other day and doing things in all ends of the ice. But I think his defense has been continually improving, especially for being so light. When I was sitting close to the ice the other day. Usually I'm a little bit higher up, and just seeing how thin he is compared to some of the other guys, it's very noticeable from up close. And to be able to do what he's doing at 18 years old is still remarkable. We'll never stop gushing over it, but um, you know. He loves being an Islander. His latest Instagram post.
Yes.
So it's been fun to see that and just see all the Schaefer jerseys everywhere. But he's been playing great, and he's going to continue to get better year after year. And he's still getting trusted with those big minutes and hasn't missed a game yet. So knock on wood for that. But he's played every single game so far.
Yeah, and he's just it's just unbelievable what he's doing every single night. I believe it was the other day against Tampa. He played over 26 minutes. It's very weird. You see, I got the Schaefer jersey now hanging up in the background. It's crazy to say I now own a jersey of a guy younger than me. But like, yeah, like it's just you don't see this. And again, like this is the same conversation everyone has regarding Matthew Schaefer. You don't see an 18-year-old come in like this and play this well this quickly. I'm with you on the size thing. When I was, when the Islanders were playing in Raleigh, I got there earlier down there for warm ups. Schaefer came out, just like I don't know. I feel like there's been some clips on Twitter where he has his headphones on, whether he's sitting on the bench or he's just somewhere else in the building, just kind of looking around before going out for warm ups. And like he looks like an 18-year-old. He looks like a kid when he's standing there. Like I'm right. He's like 3 feet away from me with the headphones on. Like not a big guy quite yet. He's tall, but he's got a he's gonna fill out. He's been 18 for what 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll come in years. He'll get bigger. He'll add on some muscle, and then once that like if he's playing this well now, imagine 3-4 years from now. He's probably done growing by then, just about. He's put on so much more muscle. Living with Matt Martin, at least for this year. We'll see about next year. I'm sure Martin's giving him he's telling him a thing or two. Yeah, it's
Basically the first family of Long Island. He's
yeah,
living with
royal
them.
family. Yeah, and that was the other day. He's out there with one of Martin's daughters, just skating around with her on the ice. There's all the Thanksgiving pictures that came out. I guess we haven't recorded since before Thanksgiving. There's like the family picture there. Yeah, it's just so great to see that again. Just like it gives him that for him it feels like he's at home, like he's with a family at home. Like he's got 4 younger siblings now, and it's like and from all the stories you hear, whether it's from Martin or whether it's from his wife, like he's playing with the kids. Like it's just like he's been living there forever, and just having that balance, I guess, your first year in the league, having that family feeling that's got to be huge for him.
It's going to pay dividends.
Probably, big
Yeah.
part of why he's been able to play as well as he has been.
Yeah, it's definitely been great to see just all of that. Yeah, there's a lot of things. We'll shift back to the forwards here, and then after that we could wrap up talking about Sorokin. I know we've kind of bounced around a lot here, just talking about who's been playing well. But we mentioned the Horvat injury briefly, but he's been scoring a lot. Obviously, he talked to the guys on the TNT panel, which the Islanders, I was at that game, so not seeing all the TNT stuff. I tried to catch up on it after, but it was good to be in the national spotlight. I know it's different. It's different than ESPN. It's just the pull that those guys have on TNT with the Bleacher Report connection too, posting everything, Schaefer and whatnot. But to see the praise that they got and just to be in that spotlight, win that game in an exciting game, I think was big for the franchise and big for this team, for people to see, hey, this team is pretty good, and to get Schaefer in front of those eyes. So that was some good discussion and I guess attention and answers from those guys on there. Yeah, Horvat scored 2 that game. Specifically, he's been the machine. We said he's hurt, but him and Barzell, while together on the power play sometimes, while not. Barzell's been really good as of late too. Bringing the puck in, setting up plays. He's had a couple multi-point nights as well. So that's been something we needed. I know we brought that up early on. We said Horvat and Barzell need to step up if this team's going to go anywhere. They did, and they've pretty much. Horvat's obviously slowed down, but they've both been consistently, doing their part. I think for the majority of the season at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Like Horvat's just such a big part of this team. I remember when the trade was made, it was like the team was kind of in a weird spot. They're in that not exactly like bad enough to rebuild, but like the core is older. And then January of 2023 they made that trade for Horvat, and it's like he's having a good year. He's having a good year at the time. But you're like, is he really the top center that's going to win you a cup? And now, I mean, who knows if that's what ends up happening with him at like if they win a cup with him as the top center. But he's playing like it, right? Or at least before the injury. I think he's at 19 goals now. I believe he's on pace to set a new career high, break his career high of 38 that he had in that year that the Islanders traded for him. But yeah, it's just so he's looking like he can be that guy with the way he was playing. And then Barzell too. Barzell is playing so free, and I think that's a lot of that is just coming from Patrick Waugh saying play with joy. Yeah, Barzell seems like he's really taking that to heart. He's looking good. He looks happy while he's playing. Yeah, it's I know Barzell is a big fan of Waugh. I know there's that video early on in the season. It was Waugh's birthday. I think Barzell's getting the happy birthday started on the ice, and they skated out in wherever that rink is. What is that in Cal? I think that rink's in Calverton.
Alberton, yeah, out east.
Yeah. So he looks like himself. Who knows if he'll get to 80 points. But I feel like there were a couple of games where he went and didn't get a point. But he's still looked really good even when he's not on the score sheet. He's doing the right things. He looks good. And then I mean I'm not worried with him. The points are going to come. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Mark Barzell he's looked very good this season, especially recently.
And two bottom six players who have kind of trended in opposite directions. Anthony Duclair, who's I think been playing really well lately. He had the two assists for the two regulation goals for the Islanders on Saturday against Tampa, and I think he's not the top six guy that we thought he was going to be, but again he's not getting paid that much. Only 3.5 for this year, and then 2 more years after, so not really a concern. But I think he's kind of settled into that third lineish role where he's or fourth lineish role. I think what has he been second line actually lately? So I guess he's middle six.
He's been all over the place.
That's
Honestly.
what I'm saying. I can't keep up. I think that game he was second. I'm pretty sure, but the lines are pretty even.
Yeah, it's
But
there's no really like super like deadly like top line. It's just
right,
really like it's three balanced lines, and then you have a pretty clear fourth line.
right. But he had to assist regardless. The goal to Schaefer, the goal to Richie, and he's honestly, I think he's played well. He's got the speed. He's throwing the body around. You see him get feisty for defending Schaefer. We saw that on Tuesday against Vegas. So he's been doing his thing. Producing at a decent clip. He's not like again the top guy we thought. So he's been trending upward. Drouin's been solid. Had some good games, a couple goals here and there. Injured for a few. He's back now. But yeah, again, you're not paying too much for him, so you're not really upset about that. I think he's been doing the right things away from the puck as well, so no complaints there. And then the one trending in the opposite direction is Max Siplikov. He can't seem to stick in the lineup. There's just too many bodies, and he can't seem to adjust to that fourth line role. So he's getting passed over for guys like Kyle McLean and Mark Gatcomb, which makes sense because not everybody's built for that. But I feel like he's the type of player and the type of body that would be built for it, but he just hasn't been able to put it together.
Yeah, and it seems like he's always the odd man out. Patrick Waugh is gonna, there were a couple times last year we got healthy scratched. Same thing's been happening this year where he's kind of if he's in, they lose a couple in a row, something's got to change. He's the guy that's coming out of the lineup. And it's unfortunate because I really like what he can offer. I really like his skill set. Big body. He's got a solid shot. He's got underrated hands. I feel like no one really talks about his hands. He can be physical. But yeah, for whatever reason, he just hasn't been able to fully adapt into that fourth line role. And when you have a guy like Kyle McLean and Mark Atcomb right there that perfectly fit that fourth line role, it's kind of Waugh has to make the decision to put them in. You can't keep trying the same thing over and over with Siplikov and hoping it works out. And just touch briefly on Kyle McLean. I thought he's been really solid in the last 2 or so weeks. When he first came up in 24, right around the time Waugh was hired, he was great that whole season. Last year, I thought he got the 3-year extension. I didn't think he was great last year, but I mean he needed bodies to play, so he played most of the games last year. And then even this year, I think he played.
He was the odd man out in the
He
beginning, and
played
then
a
he kind
little
of
bit
found
early
his way in
on,
with
but
injuries.
yeah. But recently, I thought he's been really good. As soon as since they've had that fourth line of McLean, Cizikas, Gatcomb, I thought McLean has looked really good, and even Gatcomb too. I mean, Gatcomb's looking like himself from last year. I know he only had one. He played that home opener when Drouin was suspended, and then he's been in since he got hurt this past
Because
time.
he's a guy who comes in and you know what you're getting from him every night.
Exactly.
He's a fourth liner. He's nothing more than a fourth liner. He throws the body, he skates hard, and he crashes the net, and it's led to some goals. and you've seen a good connection. He scored. He has two now. I'm pretty sure he scored on Tuesday. He scored another one, but him and Cizikas seem to have a good connection. But Cizikas is really the one that shot up. I know I saw a report that he had a talk with Wah before the Ranger game
Yeah.
because he wasn't looking great really at all. And then since that point, he's been like shot out of a cannon. He scored a couple goals, two empty netters. He had one in Tampa last week to seal that game in the dying seconds. And he's been throwing hits on time again, all over the ice, good defensively. So yeah, he's been good, and then that they've all kind of come together and built that not the fourth line of the past like they had for many years, but kind of playing that style and bringing an identity to the team with some physicality. So it's led to a lot of goals, really, more than you expect. They've been putting the puck in the net, so that's been a lot of fun to see and a nice sight for the fourth line to kind of make everybody better. Because when you have a fourth line that could do that, changes the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, just again with Zizekas, like I'm pretty sure I didn't read that whole article. I didn't have I couldn't get past the paywall, but I'm pretty sure he spoke with the mental health, you know, whoever I'm blanking on her name right now.
Sienna Sylvester or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Might not be correct last name, but I know that's her first name.
yeah. And like I'm 99% sure, like he spoke with her right around the time that he had that conversation with Law, and then really since then, like that was the start of that road trip where they went 6-1. And yeah, he's looked like himself again. Maybe a little slower than the past. Obviously, he's getting up there in age, but he's out there. He's first guy in the zone. He's finishing his checks just like everyone else on that line. And that's really again, it's never gonna be. You're never gonna get that line of Martin Cizikas Clutterbuck. No one's ever gonna recreate that. But with what they've got now, this is about as close as they're gonna get. And like they're doing that same thing. They're getting the puck in. They're finishing their checks. They're hitting everything in sight. And yeah, it really shifts the momentum for this team. And yeah, they've looked good. So yeah, it can't really change that now. And then just briefly again with Duclair, him and Richie together have been great. I know there's the play, on Saturday against Tampa.
Nice little
Duclair,
give and go.
yeah, that he got in deep, just kind of dropped it back for Richie. Richie hesitated for a second, then took the shot and scored. And there's been a couple plays where they haven't resulted in goals, but it's just Duclair and Richie finding each other. That connection has been great. And yeah, like I was always a big Anthony Duclair guy. I know we've talked about that. I've wanted him on the Islanders for years. And while not, yeah, like you said, he hasn't been that guy, that top six guy that I think a lot of people expected him to be. But he that's an example of a guy who's able to settle in. Siplikov couldn't really adapt to the different role. Duclair has been able to adapt this season. So when you have a guy like that playing down the lineup, he's a guy that's going to give you some depth scoring, and he's going to contribute offensively, and we've seen that so far. So yeah, it's really good to see, him healthy, fully recovered, and now having a really good year.
Definitely. So one final discussion. We touched on Ilya Sorokin and not David Riddick. He's kind of fallen back down to earth a little bit. He's been solid still. No complaints there. He's been a serviceable, good backup. But Sorokin has reclaimed the number one spot, obviously, and that's been great to see. So they're still giving Riddick a couple games here and there. I believe he had Thursday against Anaheim, where they had a bunch of gaps between games. But again, long season, and Sorokin, we've seen it too many times where they've played him too much. So when you're playing well, you got the confidence in him. Keep putting him out there every few days, and it's been working. But back on Sorokin, yeah, the mental health specialist and just having Waz the coach, he's found his game again. Everything looks right. He's made a few. I feel like a one or two grade A saves in every single game that they win. And the difference is he's always been this way, but he's not giving up the softies or having the one bad one a game, which kind of deflates the team. And that's a part of the team bending and not breaking. They're giving up some chances, but he's standing tall. And when they need him to make the save, he's making the save. And then they're scoring the goals and giving him that support that he needs to be able to play better, because obviously it goes both ways and they're winning hockey games. Now, the shutout in Tampa, he's tied for the most with Chico Resch in franchise history. Really shot up that list fast. And, that game in Tampa, just being there, was really had to sweat that one out. Low scoring, scary last 7 minutes. They were pinned basically the whole time, but Ilya, whole bunch of big saves. We even had an Ilya Sorokin chant going at the Benchmark International Arena with all the Islander fans there. So that was pretty crazy that actually happened. But he's been the anchor, and they always say, we said Horvat and Barzell are where the team goes, but the team goes as Sorokin goes, and that we've seen in the last 2 years he hasn't been 100%, and they've struggled And the year before he was elite and should have won the Vesna Trophy and was robbed. But this year he's in it, man. He's locked in, and this is the Sorokin we know. This is the Sorokin we expect, and the reason that so many people were so hesitant to give up on him after two tough years there, because this is the goaltender that could win you a lot of games, get you to the playoffs, and then have you help you go on a run. So he's been fantastic.
Yeah, and like he's making with Sorokin, even when he was struggling, he would still make those great saves, those crazy saves. So he would make the saves that he probably shouldn't have made, but then he'd give up the goals that he absolutely should have had. And now this year, he's making the easy save. He's making the saves that he has to save. And even he's still making those, like you said, those grade A saves. Like he looks like himself from that 2022-23 season. And yeah, that's so big for this team, and especially get into the playoffs. If he gets hot, look out. Like we saw it happen with Jordan Binnington in 2019. If you get a hot goal, you just ride it out as long as you can. Like, and you really never know what's gonna happen. And he's capable of that, and that's why. Like, I know there's some people on Twitter that are like, oh yeah, let's trade him for a haul. Like, anyone. First of all, he's got a full no move clause, so like I guarantee he's not waiving that in year 2 of the extension. And then second off, you don't trade a guy who has like you know what he's capable of, and you can't trade a guy like that. Another guy you shouldn't trade, Emil Heineman, but that's another.
Not a player you trade. Been traded 3 times, but he's not a player you trade.
You do not trade him. But yeah,
shout out our guy Rocco, who we had on the podcast in the summer, the Pizza Sports guy. He's I think the originator of that. Yeah. And now it's kind of taken the
any post about Heineman, you're seeing that all over the place, which is great.
So I mean, maybe not. I'm pretty sure it was him who started. If not, it was one of the Isles House guys. So shout out to all.
Well, I think it was a Montreal fan who said you don't trade a guy like Noah Dobson.
Right. So then he said it after
one of
that.
them. One of them did it with Heineman, and it's just...
Come on, Cole. We almost made it a whole episode without mentioning Noah Dobson. You had to say it right at the end.
No. Hey, you know what?
He always comes up somehow.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Hey, I mean, that trade tree. I'm sure I know you saw.
Oh, that was crazy. The Pat LaFontaine trade led to Emil Heineman.
It's just crazy. I mapped out the trade tree that led to Bo Horvat. I'm sure I have that somewhere. But yeah, I'd never seen that LaFontaine. I didn't realize that led all the way to the Hamonic Dobson trade, and obviously now bringing us the guy that you do not trade.
Emil the Thrill.
Oh yeah. I don't want a snack. I want a meal.
I like that. I haven't heard that one. That's good.
I can't take credit for that. I'm blanking on who it was.
There's too much. People are having fun on Twitter. I'm glad to see all the positivity. I mean, still some people will complain, but everybody's having fun right now, and I think that's the perfect way for it to wrap up. I know Cole, if you could find credit for whoever said that.
I gotta give credit. It's one of the guys. Here we go. It's Mr. Jaron Plotkin off of Instagram. I've had a group chat. I've been in the group chat with this dude for years. Let's see, which game was it? It was the Vegas game. It was that after that shootout. He scores a shootout winner. All caps. I don't want a snack. I want a meal.
That's a great way to end. So thank you for that.
Jaron, you got the credit there.
Yes.
Thanks for that.
And thank you for tuning in to this episode of On Isles Time. 15 already. Approaching the halfway point of the season. We got World Juniors coming up, which should be a lot of fun. A lot of Islander prospects involved this year. Expect Victor Eklund to be there. Tomasz Polatin should play a big role for the Czech team. Kayshawn Aitchison already on Team Canada. You're going to expect Cole Iserman, Kamil Bednarek to be on Team USA. Maybe Jacob Kvasnicka, if I even said that correctly. So that would be good to see 3 of them there. Definitely those 2, but maybe the 3rd if we get lucky. And, maybe some surprise wild cards come through. So that'll be a lot of fun. Those rosters still coming out, and that starts right after Christmas. We'll probably get an episode in before Christmas, I would think. And then, that'll be fun. And then gets to next year where it's going to really compress, and the Olympics are coming up, and we'll have those roster things. Emil and Simon are battling for Sweden spots. Horvat still has a shot. And, among a couple other guys that we have here. So, been fun. Good little stretch here, heading into the holidays and hoping to keep it going. So, that's going to do it for this episode of On Isles Time. Make sure to follow us on socials at On Isles Time, ONISLESTIME. And, appreciate you tuning in. And hopefully the Islanders can keep it rolling.